ये ईमेल पे भेजना है, ये मैंने आपको दे दिया। इसको भेजना अभी इमीडिएट टीम को भेज दें, वी हैव टू फॉरवर्ड इट। भेज दिया मैंने। Yes, Amita.
Sir, you are not visible.
Okay. अभी मैंने कैमरा ऑन नहीं किया था अपना।
अच्छा, okay.
अभी मैं हो गया है।
Yeah, now it's on.
इसको कर दिए। Somebody joins. Welcome विनोद जी।
जाफर साहब।
यस सर।
पक्षियां सुनने में बड़ा अच्छा लग रहा है, पक्षियों की बोलियां।
जी, आजकल दिल्ली काफी लकी है इस सेंस में दैट वी हैव ऑल। इनफैक्ट मैंने कई साल के बाद मैंने यहाँ पर जो पक्षी जो कभी देखे नहीं थे वो आने शुरू हो गए हैं। द क्लाइमेट इज रियली क्लीन। Okay, this actually we were doing a kind of seminar just before this seminar started. So there were people who had already joined in, and later on we had to log them out, and now this the real one has started. So they will be taking their own time in joining. We already have about 5 people. Mr. Sanjay Dave will be joining soon. The webinar topic that we have taken, we basically wish to want to look as to what how the scenario is developed for spice sector. We would like to see what are the challenges faced by Indian industry, trade, government initiatives that are taken by the government. Especially in terms of smooth supply chain, labor issues, brand loyalty. So many, quite a few issues will be coming up after this changes. What we see is a post-COVID scenario. We would have a discussion by various experts on these topics, and we are going to make it more interactive for the participants so that all participants can tell their views, their feelings, and what are the issues faced by participants in their own localized areas. So this webinar is a kind of interactive session.
कोड है कुछ कोड ना के देमा एक 5 मिनट के 8-2 कलाक પછી એક મીટિંગ છે ચાલુ Hello.
Hello. We will be joined by Davesa very soon. Meanwhile, we have Mr. Vinod, we have Shailesh Shah ji, Amita Sharma ji. We have given the talking permission to most. However, I will request that we should be speaking one by one. Try to not to cross talk so that the broadband, because all of us are there and there's a lot of, as I understand, most of the participants, they face the problem of broadband at this time. So it will be much better that people only speak one by one and remain confined to the topic. So, Shailesh ji, can I invite you to tell us a little about yourself, since you are the...
I'm Shailesh Shah, Director of JAPS International Private Limited.
Okay.
I'm also Director of ISCFEA, Bombay-based Exporters Association.
Okay.
Yeah, and now you see that because the export trade is at a stake.
Okay.
Hope that everybody's wish that the business go to the normalcy as early as possible.
Okay.
And
in Bombay, as we see, a lot of charity organizations are looking for smaller packets. On the other hand, the exports have seriously affected. But I believe from 20th onwards, the sea routes and the routes were open. So how has been? Is it moving okay, or is still the serious problems?
No, there is a still serious problem because we have a factory in Bombay, Unja and Mundra.
Okay.
Yeah, my Unja factory is in operation and doing business as normal. Okay. Of course, there is no procurement from the domestic market.
Okay.
The cargo what we have already in the factory, which raw material arrived about 1 month before, we are using those materials.
Okay.
Mundra factory is also running at 25% capacity, 30% capacity.
Okay.
Because the port is partially working. The serious problem on custom officers and almost most of the CFAs are closed, not working. Bombay also is the same situation. Custom is not in operation. They have attendance like 5%. Okay. Day before yesterday, I was in Bombay Customs. That is called Port Users Building.
Okay.
And till day before, till the Friday, the attendance of the staff, of the custom officer, commissioner, maybe you can see now there is a building have a capacity to sit the officers like more than 500, but maybe 30 or 20 to 30 people, custom officers were there.
Okay.
So almost they, on the central government, they say that everything is working.
Mm-hmm.
But in actual, it is not in operations.
Okay. Okay.
So I hope that from tomorrow onwards, things will move because JNPT port is far away from here. Most of the shipping will passing, everything is online, but all this corrupt custom forwarders, factories, everybody is facing the problem for the staff because there is no the local permit. Police permit, people are not getting the police permit to come to office. People applied for the MIDC and other area. Now slowly they started releasing the permit. We have a staff strength of 70 people. We got the permit for 18 people.
Okay.
So we are regularizing our work. The backlog, whatever is pending, we are regularizing as early as possible.
Okay.
Courier is just coming in a proper metro city. They are not coming to the inner part of the India.
Okay.
So we are taking our all documents from our New Bombay branch and handing over to their Andheri branch. So the couriers are getting dispatched from them, that area.
Meanwhile,
So,
Mr. Sanjay Dave has joined us already. Sanjay sir, if you can get me, your camera needs to be on. It is switched off from your end. Yes,
sir. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sanjay Dave, and I am the former advisor of Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, and also the former chairman of Codex Alimentarius Commission. You are aware that there is a Codex Committee on Spices, which was actually the idea came up when I was the chairman of this commission. Basically, the issue currently is not only about trade and movement of goods, but it is also about safety. Safety of the farmers, safety of the handlers of the spices, raw spices, and then the processing units, then the packing units, wherever it is packed. Fortunately, we don't sell loose spices, at least they are not legally allowed, but the spices that are sold are supposed to be packed. And then it is the safety of the retailers and eventually the safety of the consumers.
Okay.
This is extremely important, and that is how you will gain the confidence of the industry and the confidence of the consumers and the confidence of the other stakeholders. So what is important is that you all need to take care of these aspects. The domestic market is extremely important, and we have to make sure that whatever is produced in a sanitized environment, handled by sanitized hands, and then the consumers will be able to buy it properly. I'm sure there will be other experts who will throw some light on this, but I will certainly, when I get an opportunity to speak once again, what are those guidances? What is the guidance available from the government, from various other organizations, which need to be practiced and put in place?
Sanjay, can you share your mobile number, please?
It's my number. I have registered it there already, but it is 98113-04895.
98113
04895.
But as the seminar is going on, I request participants please don't call Sanjay sir this time, so that but later on we have now 14 participants and more are joining. Team from ITC would like to join. ITC, but the link I have already sent. Tell them that India is the password for everyone. Vinod sir, you are there, Mr. Vinod Bhati.
Naqvi sahab.
Yes, sir. Sir, I'm putting you to panel.
Sir.
You can, you may start your camera. आपका कैमरा स्विच ऑफ है आपके एंड से.
जी सर, ऑन कर दिया मैंने.
ओके. Yes, sir. Welcome, sir.
जी नकवी साहब.
Sir, we were expecting about 120 attendees by now. However, I am told yesterday by my supplier of broadband that a large number of people are conducting the entire business operations. In fact, all the schools have shifted to video conferencing. So the broadband is really under pressure.
Sir, I would just like to update you. So we are 4 in a family in Bangalore. So all four of us are on calls. So my son is on his classes on Zoom app. My wife is also in another conference call, and my daughter is in another conference call. So four of us all are using the broadband.
Now, right now you are in the conference and we already have attendees. So
Sir,
Vinod sir, I would like to know your feedback about first thing is how are the things? Let me put it this way: how are the things right now? Because Culinary Forum as an organization, the whole organization has its. I mean, 90% is people interaction, and probably depends on you. But as I'm told, in the culinary, it's more like people interaction person to person. And nowadays, obviously, most of you are not doing that. What exactly has been? How has been the change in life so far, and what you look
for? I would like to thank you and your team for this wonderful opportunity. And at the same time, since last like 40 days or 4 weeks, things are not the same as they were before. Okay. So these are extraordinary times, and at times we get messages that hotelier ko kabhi itni chutti milti hai kya?
Sahi baat hai.
So this is for the first time, like most of the hoteliers, and this is I think it's one of the worst setback that has come to the hotel industry, and especially for the food business.
Okay.
And so most of the chefs, when we talk to different people in the different part of the country from different associations, so all of them are at home, most of them, and there are very few skeleton staff working in the hotels where they have very few guests, and most of them are now doing charities, cooking for the needy people and cooking basic food. Okay. So the scenario is a little bit very dicey in terms of the food industry, but I hope and I believe that the good times will come after this, and there will be a new way of working.
Now, since all of you, as you said, that the main work in the field work is gone down nowadays. So should we expect some post-COVID new recipes coming up? Because all of you sitting at home inventing new dishes.
No, 100%. Most of the chefs, I think, if you watch Instagram and IGTV now, that is the talk of the town, and people are creating different recipes at home and posting, and so it's all digital now.
Okay.
But when it comes to food, so food has to be physical, it can't be virtual. So you need to have food to consume. So you can't look at a picture or a video and enjoy a good tasty food. And I think spices are the main component of any food. So we get different ingredients, and spice make them colorful, tasty, flavorful, healthy. So the role of spice is very critical and very important in the whole culinary world, I could say.
Okay. Okay. The topic that we'll be taking today is, so maybe we can start with you as well. Coming back to the main topic.
Yeah.
Post-COVID, people are going to be very apprehensive, and on the good side, some people like our Kerala example, the government is trying to relax things. On the other hand, one Harvard study, I don't know, it's a WhatsApp, so I cannot be 100% sure, but we are living out of the WhatsApp. This says that it may continue for up to October, or maybe in the next year, into next year as well. So how are you going to assure to the consumer and your team who are preparing, how you are going to assure that they are sure of quality, they are feeling safe, they have confidence that what I am eating is secure? Do you think something else will be required except other than the brand of the hotel or the chain? Apart from that, there's something else needs to be done.
I think it's a lot of learning that has come during this last 4-5 weeks, and most of the organizations, they are now focusing on the trainings and food safety, hygiene, and sustainable and local products.
Okay.
So these are the most important topics which are taken by different organizations in the food industries.
Okay.
So food safety will be the top priority. And for example, like washing hands has become a very important thing, and everybody has understood the importance of washing hand. Whereas knowingly people were not washing hands, they knew it's critical, but people tried to ignore that.
Okay.
But so now this situation
of IKEA, what kind of steps you are taking care of actually?
So we as a company, so we are taking stringent steps in terms of food safety and food hygiene. And we are way forward than a normal food operation because food safety is our top priority. So it comes from sourcing to preparation and serving. So brand plays an important role, but at the same time, the product should be sustainable.
Important.
So there could be certain brands which are not sustainable, but they are big brands. So we have big focus on more sustainable products.
Okay. We also have Mr. Kajal with us. Kajal Demnath is from BFM Foods Limited, Noida. He's Chief Regulatory Officer. Kajal sir, I was not asking you asking you the question because I feel that as more and more attendees are joining, and actually you would be more bombarded with questions about safety, and of course there's Mr. Sanjay Dave as well, because food safety is at this time it's one of the most prime. Indeed, the experience of some of my friends who are right now in the field working as more like a kind of NGOs. That is what most of us are doing right now.
Yeah.
And I remember the police commissioner telling us especially that, let people eat less, but don't give them dangerous food. Because if the food is not secure, it is going to be more dangerous than giving half food. So it's really very serious matter. And since you are also taking care of food security issues at your own end, what is your perception about how consumer, or even the question is not just the consumer, but the entire chain, your procurement, the production, the processing, the packaging and distribution, and security is required in all the at every step, and any chain, any link which becomes weaker will infect the entire food chain. How do you plan? What is going on at your end? I would like to hear from you first.
Yeah. See, the very pertinent questions, discussion has been going on before we start this. The food safety is basically what I look at is for any food industry or in general, our food consumption at home, at anywhere, whether it's a temple or any places, food safety is the utmost requirement for any food to be, whenever we talk about food, hygiene food, unless it is in, even in the security situation also, whatever food will be given has to be very safe, unless it is of no use. Even if you talk about human nutrition also, the impact of food on our body only will come when it has been ingested in a very safe way. So as such, food safety is, we have to, take care all the, chemical and microbiological hazards through a risk assessment, whether you do it to hazard analysis, whether do you do food safety. So with this kind of emerging kind of situation, which is already been said in our food safety management system, ISO 22K, that this system is meant for establishment, monitoring, implementing, and updating. So what is the thing update? Now with this dynamic situation of COVID or many other viruses which has got a transmission, which could come through a packaging material or surface somewhere. So these are the new emerging things which the dynamics has to be understood and has to be a complete control will come. But till such time when the industries are, we are running, we should always look forward for WHO guidelines. We should look forward for ICMR or Ministry of Health. We should also use our own food safety understanding of how we are supposed to, do take care, whether during, our now this lockdown, as well as after post lockdown also, there should be certain things which we cannot compromise, which is something like, all there should be, there should be a medical screening of any plant, or the food handlers, whether it's a distribution channel, whether it's in our own vendors places, everywhere holistically, where the food chain, I mean, right from even harvesting. So this has to be seen. There are certain things like this virus has been seen that it is in 55 degrees centigrade, it gets deactivated. So there are some processes we need to see that those temperature, if it is maintained, there might be, we need not to focus, but then human transmission where high touch points are there, hypochlorite solution, 1% has to be used, or there should be a 70% IPA kind of things. So there are do's and don'ts, has to be time to time, periodically has to be monitored, and if required, stringency has to be brought, and there should be continuously updating of the information. And as and when in the government, as and when our own experience, and all this put together with only one focus, that safety has to be maintained. Now, safety of the people also has to be maintained. There should not be transmission to the food product. There should be adequate level of handling of raw material, packaging material, as well as various other things which might come into the risk, has to be assessed and has to be looked into a holistic thing. So in that way, there are companies, there are videos of various top companies also I have seen. I know there are good practices are being followed, how workers are reaching to plant, and how there is a social distancing being maintained, what are the personal hygiene being maintained, how in the canteen also they are maintaining distances. There are one challenges which I find that now you have a high speed machines, and you have to maintain with a social distancing of workers, whether it's a conveyor belt of sorting or some kind of equipment or some things, where earlier thought was not so. So there was very close, the workers used to sit. Now, with that same speed, with lesser number of people, this might have to be adjusted. So there is a challenge of productivity, but when you talk about food safety quality, definitely we need to find out another way to, look at it. But those things has to be maintained, of course, there are people has to be screened, there are more technological advancement, equipments, cost-effective things will be coming. So those are the things has to be deployed time and again. So there is no, today what I'm speaking like 10 points may not be, will change its perspective with maybe down the line 15 days or 20 days or 1 month or so. So as and when things evolve, we need to keep updating our do's and don'ts with a complete focus on food safety and quality and other part of, taking care of the regulatory compliance. I'm very sure the FSSAI also has brought a lot of guidelines, and these guidelines are also has to be maintained. BIS is also bringing some draft which also need to be looked into. Industry can give a lot of practical insights to those drafts. I think overall with these things there should be a containment. Now specifically for since we are talking about the spice industry, so there also, I mean, it will not be very different. Like now the thing is that there are also a lot of handling and but of spices are being done in a manner to where there could be contamination. So we have to be very careful. And then these spices has to be grinded. And I'm sure that there are frictional temperature is also there when you're spice grinding. So there has to be all kind of has to be assessed in a very systematic way to really contain the risk of COVID.
Sanjeev,
hello.
Hi.
Lost husband again.
I think I have come.
Okay.
You need to on the video part that I'm not able to see. That option is not coming. The video need to be enabled.
Okay, I'll just do it. Okay. No, because I'm just promoting you to the analyst, so you are familiar in the audience. Sanjay sir, as, we were having, as Mr. Kajal was telling us about his experiences at his ends. Security I'm concerned that it has been very dear to you, and I know you have been taking it more as a mission. And from the text platform, as well as later on through various NGOs, and attended quite a seminars of yours. What you what kind of challenges in food security you feel will be there and in the future? Social distancing now, dealing with that. I believe that is a challenge for the machinery manufacturers. How they are going to machinery which will follow the social norm, because we are going to see it for a rather long term, as I'm according to Harvard, that they say it will go well into 2020-21. It can go up to that time. So the machines may have some kind of designing modifications, but then there will be psychological or financial implications. How you feel, sir?
Okay. Hello, Kajal. Nice to see you back in the group.
Nice to hear you, sir. I can't see you, but I
you
can
can't
only,
see me? No?
Dr. Dave has reached, so food safety will have a different level of discussion.
No, but I think you can see me.
Yeah, now
okay.
I can see you.
Now you can see me.
Yeah.
Well, I think Kajal was speaking very correctly. Now that we hear that either it will be 2021 or 2022, we don't know. So we can't stop there. So we have to bring in practices which ensure that cross-contamination does not take place, as simple as that. We have to make sure that contamination of COVID-19, of this coronavirus, does not get transmitted from one person to the other. We have to see how it can be contained. There are several guidelines that are there. First of all, my suggestion would be to the spices industry to look at the Codex General Principles of Food Hygiene. Codex General Principles of Food Hygiene, which have recently been revised. They should get adopted at the commission session in July if it is held. Most likely, as per my understanding, I was having a discussion with the Codex Secretariat in Rome a few days ago. I was not in Rome, but I was having telephonic conversation. And they said that in all probability, all the Codex meetings will be postponed to December. So let us hope that it will get adopted. But there is a general agreement on this document. And this document is on the Codex website. Please have a look at it. All the people in the spices industry must see it. Second one, there is a very good document on the WHO website. The title is WHO Guidance for Food Businesses. It provides guidance to all stakeholders in a value chain. It provides guidance with regard to worker safety, food handler safety, talks about use of personal protective equipment, PPE as we call it, and masks, like any hospital. Of course, they are not surgical masks. But depending upon the kind of a product, if it is a high-risk product, for example, it is meat or fish or milk, the workers need to use specific equipment, personal protective equipment, PPE. For spices, which is a dry product, maybe less. Then you have to make sure that you implement FSMS based on HACCP. You have to graduate from good hygienic practices to HACCP now, in this current situation. You have to make sure that you prevent transmission of the virus. the virus does not get transmitted through the food. It gets transmitted only from human to animal or animal to human. Animal to human is not, we are not very clear, but certainly from animal to human, we all know that. Then of course, sanitization and gloves should be used. Of course, they are not a substitute to hand washing. Then you have to keep providing guidance and training to your workers. Safe distancing. Workstations have to be staggered. Lunch timings have to be staggered. Sitting spaces have to be such that there is a safe distance. Then if there is somebody falls sick, then you have to have a policy which says return to work policy. What should be that policy? There should be a minimum of 2 negative PCR tests conducted 24 hours apart. And this is what WHO guides. Then you have to use disinfectants. For every workstation, you need to have separate guidance. And that guidance has to be provided to each person in the factory or even at farmer level. Because when the spices are raw, they are moist. Possibility of attachment of the virus is much more at that stage. So you have to protect the farmers. You have to keep the farmers in such a manner that they take care of their safety and the safety of the packaging material in which that spices is packed. Then you have to provide guidance for your packers, for your processors, for your transporters, drivers. Drivers must keep sanitizing their steering wheels, their door knobs, door handles, mobile phones. The retailers, they have to avoid crowding. Queue control is required, like we see. Shopping bags have to be cleaned. No loose spices should ever be allowed, because the person who is selling it can possibly be contaminated. And there can be asymptomatic carriers or there can be pre-symptomatic carriers. And you will never come to know until you fall sick. Adulteration should not take place from non-food items. Then secondly, thirdly, there is a FSSAI. On the FSSAI website, you can see a guidance note which talks about the responsibility of the food business operator. And in this case, the food business operator is the processor, the packer, the transporter, the retailer. And there is a guidance for every person on the FSSAI website. It has been designed based on the WHO guidelines. Lastly, what Jafarji was saying, that you have to improve the technology of production. Technology of production means that you have to go towards automation. I know it has its own issues, social issues, employment issues. But if you have to remain in business, in global business, somebody was talking about exports, or even in the domestic market, you got to take care of all these things. So every spice producer or seller must create a SOP, standard operating procedure, for every person in the value chain. I'm sure ITC would have done it. We will hear from our colleague from ITC, what they have done, how they have tried to put in place a system that ensures that there is no cross-contamination. So food safety, prevention of transmission of the virus from one to the other is the first step if you have to be in business. If you fail there, the business stops anyways. So this is in short that I would like to say, Jafar Saab, and over back to you. I can't hear you, Jafarji.
No, you are muted.
Okay. So I think I would call Mr. Sanjeev Bhisht. He is business head for spices in ITC. And as you referred, because probably we should hear from the one of the largest companies active in this sector. So how they have tackled and what is their take on this? So can I ask Mr. Sanjeevish to please come on?
Sure. Thanks, Jafarji. So first, let me give a background where we are operating and what are the things which is there, and then I'll come to the issues.
Okay.
Because spices, we are the largest producer, consumer, and exporter of to the world. Almost 8% of Indian export is spices. There's something which is growing at an 8% rate per year, which is being across. And this is also one sector where most of the food safety issues happens, whether you look in terms of globally, also in terms of India also. So it becomes very, very important to follow food safety and hygiene practices, which is being across the chain. This is something which we realized long back. And the way it starts with any quality you want to get it right, it has to start with the farmers. Because then only you will be able to mend the chain right. Because we are talking about contamination in COVID, but there are multiple contamination in terms of mycotoxin, aflatoxins, pesticide residue, which happen across the chains. So the way we work in terms of working almost 10,000 farmers, what we are working across India on spices, we work with them or giving them in terms of technologies, how to increase their productivity, how to keep hygiene practices, how to save them in terms of food safety and all. And some of them, those investments are helping us today. Because if you look today, there is no buying being allowed in the mandi for spices. Mostly if you look product like chili and all. But if you have a network with the farmer direct procurement and you're following all kind of food safety standards and the protocols for a COVID, the government is allowing you to a farm buy. So it is something which is creating a win-win situation. A farmer is able to get a better price, a market which has been a distress part which is being there. Companies are able to buy directly because they are invested in the chain. So that's the way the first hygiene starts, where you help a farmer to disinfect in terms of his hands, in terms of how you're giving him new gunnies, which are not being in terms of contaminated. You're using him to do a drying yards, which are being having a food safety hygiene practices, and you buy directly from them. That is the first leg, I will say, in terms of food safety, which starts. And once you have done a buying, then it comes in terms of handling of the spices. And the handling can be in terms of when you do mixing of spices to get a uniformity. There also we have worked in terms of automation, so that the manual touch of the product can reduce significantly. Like chilies, people mix a different lot of chili to make them uniform heat and color. They call it rasi. We have totally mechanized that operations. So the moment you mechanize that operation, the manual touch is coming down. It also helps in terms of better consistency and moisture part. Like Daviji was saying, is if moisture is not right in terms of starting of the produce, it can have a later of implication. Our technology can help you in terms of handling that kind of product which is being there. And once it's done, then you are taken to a plant. Plant also will take in terms of all the control, whether it's in terms of a thermal scanning of people, social distancing, which need to be followed, a regular control in terms of their hand wash. I think this is something which is quite important in spices industry and catching up fast. I think we're looking from today COVID issues. But if you look any spices plant which has to guarantee microbial, a hand wash is the must for entry into a plant itself, where they use a sanitizer, they clean their hand, they change their dresses when they enter into the plant, and once they come out again, they change their dresses, which is being there. So that helps to take care of in terms of food safety and hygiene. And those are the practices which are helping in terms of what we're talking around into our COVID issues. So this is the multiple control and everything which we do are in terms of traceability. We have a barcode traceability, so we understand from where the produce is coming and what are the risks. Having said that, I like to also raise some concern which is happening on spices. Today we need to look at it. We are the one who are the major exporter of spices to the world. And for these spices, we also have a competition which is happening from a different origins. So if we don't supply our spices on this point of time, which is being there, it may happen that our competing countries started looking for a different origins. So it's very important that we follow the food safety and hygiene and leverage this opportunity, because any risk which come, it also come with a huge opportunity. Today, the way world is looking to China, it's always a huge opportunity for India, which is being there. And quite a good number of spices, they are a competition to us. So whether it is being in terms of chilies or whether in terms of a garlic. So this is here where the opportunity comes. So if we are able to follow, like Mr. Dave was talking about all the standards of codex, we are able to talk in terms of a food safety, follow a traceability, social distancing, and mechanize our operation along with the traceability, it can be a huge opportunity for India to leverage and establish itself as a further stronghold of spices in the world. So that will be summarized in the way I'll talk about industry.
Since you are in the lead, I think I can ask you as to, at present, how are you operating? Manufacturing operations, how are you carrying it out? Transportation, because as I know, most of the highways were closed. Despite MHA's clearly giving orders, still there were issues about. So how you are handling the situation now?
Okay, so let me put it, I think when the lockdown happened, initially the issues were very high in terms of that. I think subsequently governments have given in terms of approval for essential commodities.
Okay.
India, though ITC being pan-India presence, we also doing a representation every local authority in terms of this approvals which is being there. So initially there was issues. So like today, we look, our plants have got approval for running operations. In terms of movement also, we are declaring as essential commodities and doing a representation of respective state governments. So today, whether look in terms of domestic or even the export also, we have started movement now. So which is being there in terms of a domestic port, like we are Andhra based, so we are able to ship from Krishnapatnam. So those authorities we are going, we're giving them in terms of representation, what required. We are taking help of Spices Board. We're taking help of in terms of local factory inspectors. I think government is quite open in terms of listening the concern which is being there. And if you put their case, you are able to get approvals.
Okay. I think I'd like to take once again Sanjay sir. Sanjay sir, traceability will probably be very, very important. It has been a very important aspect. However, with this
Domestic practices,
best practices, as we call them, from procurement to retailing. So it is not just as we as APEDA did in case of ANARNet or quite a few.
Great.
So maybe it's time that we will have to have on every single packet of spice, especially as he rightly pointed out, and somebody yesterday pointed out to me, this coronavirus is one single molecule RNA enclosed in a fatty layer. It's not really very skin kind of layer. It's just a fatty layer. So wherever there are fats on any surface where the fats can remain, it lives longer. And if the fat layer is destroyed, whether by soap or whether by heat or whether by any other reason, so it is destroyed. Spices are mostly essential oil. That's why we call them spices, the fragrance. And that means that if the oil is not there, the spice is not good, which also means that it's a very sensitive product for this particular virus because it will have longer life on any spice because it's an oily material. So are we geared up, we as a nation? What is your take? Do we have the systems in place to trace, to implement that kind of traceability? I think I would like to have your views on that.
Yeah, Mr. Jafar, I'd like to intervene in this one topic.
Okay.
Yeah, because we are all from the spice industry. So one thing is very important, which I request all the industry players to bring it to the platform of the government, that all our APMC market is still almost 70% is manual.
Okay.
And if we are really serious on traceability, we cannot move like this anymore. So
Okay.
those APMC all need to be computerized if we are really serious on the traceability to take our business to the next level. Because the company like JAPS or ITC or individual level struggling with their own ideas, but that will not work to bring a huge volumes and the future. So what we need exactly that all the industry, all the publications who are involved in this, we must put the emphasis to bring all the APMC market highly computerized with a dedicated software. It is integrated with everything.
Okay.
So
Fine.
that will give a huge help to the trade.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Sanjay, can you do that?
Okay, fine. Sanjay sir.
Yeah, see, basically, government has already implemented eNAM, which is nothing like that, which is called a traceability platform, which has to be provided across. I think the norms have already been established, but I think implementation is there. Where is the gap as of now? And I think I totally agree. It's a good opportunity where representation can be given to government to strictly implement it. As of now, mandis are not running, but once they start running, it can be a good point of in terms of implementation of e-NAM to a next level so that all this traceability happens.
I would like to intervene here. Sanjeev,
what I suggest is the APMC market, what they have now in the structure, that is need to be, because see, there is a two segment. One is an international business, one is a domestic business. So e-NAM is the baby which will make grow next 10 years time. But in between there should be some transit instrument where the APMC market can be managed with the better computerization processes, and we have access to those APMC markets. Okay. To where the cargo, what we bought it coming from where and how it has been traced.
Shailesh, I think let me first have the comment from
okay.
Dave sir, then we'll continue. Okay.
Yeah.
Dave sir,
sir. What Mr. Sanjeev Bisht was talking about is a very important issue which needs to be flagged before the government. And I think as one of the recommendations of this webinar, a proposal could be sent that this is a good opportunity. There is still a time gap and the traceability system can be implemented at that level. However, if I understand correctly, Mr. Sanjeev Bisht, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you work directly with the farmers. Yeah. You work in clusters. Mm-hmm. You do direct procurement of your spices, right?
Right.
Now, the current agri-export policy of the Ministry of Commerce, which has been approved by the Ministry of Commerce, there is already identified clusters in the country for different spices in different states. Mm-hmm. In addition, there is a STDF, Standards and Trade Development Facility of the WTO, where I represent Asia for the SPS issues. Mm-hmm. A proposal from the Spices Board has been approved and the project has been launched in 4 states for 4 different products, if you are aware. Mm-hmm. And those who are not aware, let me tell you, Rajasthan, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and Telangana. For fennel, for cumin, for red chili, and for one more turmeric. Yes, turmeric. That has been approved. And that has 2 components, essentially. Mm-hmm. One is implementation of good agricultural practices to ensure limits, to ensure that the pesticide residues, the aflatoxins, and the microbial count is within the limits. Mm-hmm. Plus, there is a traceability angle to it. Right. Traceability works best when you work directly with the farmers in groups. Mm-hmm. Quality Council of India has announced a document which is Good Agricultural Practices, INDGAP, INDGAP, which talks about implementation of good agricultural practices, and the process of benchmarking INDGAP with Global Gap has already been started, but because of this coronavirus, there is a delay in that. And funds have been sanctioned by Spices Board for benchmarking purposes. The point that I'm trying to make is, if you work in clusters directly with the farmers, implement the best practices, implement good hygienic practices at the factory level and good manufacturing practices at the factory level, good transport practices, good retail practices, of course, with the retailer, you will not fail. And a very important point that was made by Mr. Bisht is that if we fail this time, the market gets lost to other countries. Okay. And once the market is lost, you can't get it back easily. It's very difficult. So my message to every person in this webinar is please work directly with the farmers. Please work in clusters. Please implement best practices, good hygienic practices and good agricultural practices. And I assure you, you will be successful. We have done it before. I've experienced it myself. Naqvi Saab, Jafar Saab knows it. Kajal also knows it. We did it in grapes, we did it in anar, and how successful we were. The exports jumped from 3,000 tons to 250,000 tons in 15 years. Just because best practices were implemented and traceability was implemented. Traceability is slightly difficult when you work with mandis. Not that it is not possible. It is possible, but it is not an easy go. The easier option would be to work directly with the farmers in clusters. Depending upon the mandis will not ensure or will not assure you of the quality of the spices. Am I right, Sanjeev?
Yeah. So just to add to it, sir, what you have said is, I think, quite a relevant point. If you want the quality, it always should start from the source part. The moment you do at a farm level, it always helps. And whatever initiative which we're talking about, a cluster and all, I think it is being derived by World Spice Organization. We're also partnering with them in terms of providing the best practices. Having said that, we also are doing as an ITC initiative with both Andhra government and Karnataka government for a chili, where we are trying to provide the best practice. And it's how our online platform can be done, where all the best practices are being given to farmers in terms of training. A call center being provided where they can ask for all the questions which is being there. And if you want to buy through this network, the government can also give you a traceability in terms of linkages and all. So that information also available in terms of process. But that, whatever you said is totally right. If you want the quality to be the best, traceability will work when we go directly to farmer in the best way.
In fact, 2 or 3 months ago, I made a presentation myself in a Spices Board in Cochin, where lots of people from the industry and their own officials were present. They have taken an in-principle decision to support implementation of traceability. But traceability without good agricultural practices has no meaning. Let me also tell you. You may implement traceability for the purposes of just records, but if the product is unsafe because the best practices have not been implemented, garbage in and garbage out.
Sir, just because this is a
Mr. Dave, I like to take you one thing. For the food safety, we are discussing last 10 years. I'm in this business long time, and 10 years I'm discussing the food safety.
We'll have a discussion later, question answer session. Then I'll invite all of you to.
Okay. Let's see.
Mr. Jafar.
Just a request to Mr. Shah.
Hello.
You can rotate because on the mobile.
Mr. Jafar. Hello.
Can I suggest that people who are not speaking, they put themselves on mute so that we can listen clearly.
Yeah, Mr. Zafar, I have got a point.
I'm muting myself.
Okay. So,
Mr. Zafar?
Sir and Vinod sir, if you possible, please rotate your phone. So your complete visible. This feedback I got on the call from audience that they would like to see the thing like this. Fine. I think I'll like to go back to, once again, Kajal Devnath.
Yeah.
You're manufacturing the snacks, which again, as I said, the most important remains the spices. Whether you have manufacturing, testing, and other things available to be compliant with the traceability aspects, which are going to become even more stringent.
There is a lot of disturbance. I think
people who are not. It is advisable for the success of this webinar is that people who are not speaking, they put them on mute. If you on the screen, if you go to the left hand bottom corner, you will find those options to mute yourself. Then it is easy to listen to the other people.
Okay.
Hello.
I I have muted everyone other than Mr. Dave now, and he himself. So Kajal, please carry on. So what are the technological challenges you will be facing, or whether it is available to you?
Since this is I'm on behalf of Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, would like to thank Media Today Group for organizing this seminar to discuss the impact of COVID-19 on Indian spice industry. So now FICCI is the largest and oldest apex business organization in India. So it is the voice of India's business and industry and articulates the views and concerns of industry. So now, before going to detail of food safety and traceability and quality, which we are currently discussing, I also wanted to bring to your kind attention that this spice industry as such has got application of 5 to 12% to a processed food industry. Now we have a good amount of spices are being exported also. Roughly around 850,000 or tons or something like USD to 2.5 billion, something like that. So the point is that apart from the export also, there are a lot of processed food industries. Value addition comes through the flavorings of these products. So this is very key industry actually, spices. And to support this industry is also, we need to also look at the holistic picture of the Indian economy, which is based on food and agriculture, which is 16.5% of GVA and with 43% of employment. So this has been completely got really disruptive impact on the food processing. FICCI welcomes various measures being undertaken by the Government of India, state governments, RBI, among others, to ease the stress of businesses during the situation arising the outbreak of COVID-19. And, so if I talk about these India's, what are the things as of now we have expected the support should be there. So there is a spice being grown in the field that has to be harvested. So the farmers, then it has to be brought to a supply chain. Then it has to be processed in our plant. Then it has to be exported or it has to be used as a domestic. So if you look at the whole holistic thing, so the currently, right from the farmer place to the consumer, everywhere these ingredients and any other food ingredient has to be go through a complete food safety, quality, stringency has to be maintained. And the traceability is been a challenge for Indian all kind of agronomical products. I had worked in edible oil, all these food commodities particularly. So that there is a lot of challenges out there unless the product has been said that okay, I want this traceability, and then it has been paid. Then the food business operator do a backward integration and so on and so forth. There are cases like that. There are some companies who voluntarily has been doing their various kind of methodology of global agriculture practices. GAP has been implemented. So those things are placed. But most important thing is that how food safety importance and significance is been understood and valued by Indian businesses. The other people give value to it. That has not been rationalized. So the export houses still can does things, and under this is the scenarios of understanding. And over and above, you are putting COVID scenario, that it becomes more, becomes challenging to really maintain the distancing and do at field also, because most of these spices, if you visit, down south, the way the spices the farmers has been doing it, there are various traditional practices are being followed. So now these farmers has to be brought to a complete understanding, education. There should be, complete, utilization of various kind of seed materials and plant propagating materials for the for right from the, it's the horticulture part of it, and then rearing part of it, and all these practices through which there should be a documented process, and this can be achieved through various kind of approaches with awareness at various level by government, the private, and various kind of other food safety initiative driven organizations. So those things we need to really work out. And there are some things which Dr. Dave has already said, that there are some things has been implemented in my previous organization. Currently in Mother Dairy, we had a lot of work in practices, though it takes a lot of effort to really convince, make a cluster of farmers, and then take it forward. So this traceability part, I'm not saying that it is not possible, but a lot of effort, a lot of understanding has to be brought into this thing. So if anything comes to a plant, and after that plant is a very organized processes, so we can maintain that, okay, this has come now, this has been used for these batches, and then we completely having a traceability. But the same thing, this organized approach has to be brought from our factory gate to the farm, like the supply chain, whichever supply chain, whether it is a directly sourcing from the plant to, from the farm to plant, one approach could be. If it is through a various another consolidated aggregated market, and from there we have to do, then we have to bring a capability building programs at those areas of aggregated market, how it should be handled, how it should be grouped, which variety, where from it has come, which farmer has given, all these documentation processes, as well as backed by the practical approaches and the infrastructure to back it. And if that is been done, then it really involves a lot of stakeholders to really drive this. And that's the way I look at it. This can be brought into the a level of traceability can be brought. So there are some success stories out there. So there is that should be replicated. And with COVID situation, those things has to be modified. This has to be adopted with the current requirements. Earlier, all of us, we have spoken that what stringency has to be done. And very importantly, that we cannot remain stationary with one kind of things, because these viruses might behave in different time and all, we don't know unless a vaccine comes and we are completely away from it. So we need to be very smart, and we need to be very adaptive. And then those are the various kind of multi-faceted approach has to be brought, not only for spice, for any agriculture commodities. I would say this is a high time we should do to do that. At various government level, there are certain kind of work has started, but it has to be brought to a great extent. A lot of extension activities has to happen. And then I think there can be a value of our agriculture economy can really grow ahead. Now, considering the current challenges in this food processing sector, especially for spice sector, we also need to request government support for ease of big business, support for cash flow management, and trade facilitation. I don't know, that is also economic impact. I'm not sure whether we should discuss in this forum, but I thought there are people issues, there are financial issues, and there are supply chain continuity issues are there. Now these post-COVID essential products, food has been clarified, and then there have been a lot of misconception of various kind of food product, whether it's ingredient, packaging material, has not been treated well. So they said essential means only the things that, like, the fruits and vegetables, or atta, maida and all that stuff, rice and all that. But actually the whole food, later on they came clarified. But those are the things that's really disturbed. And because of that, right from farmers to consumer, that complete supply chain of food processing and spice also has been disrupted. So we need to bring a lot of attention to this. Yeah.
Kajal sir, I think I would interrupt. There is an audience question from Sumit, which says, Sumit is asked as to how do you feel the spice export scenario shaping up over the next few months. I think that I would like to have on this particular question, I'd like to have comments from Sanjeev Bishji. But before that, before coming to Sanjeev sir, I think I'd like to take this from the chef Vinod Bhati from traceability aspect. as you started that time, most of the attendees were not there. You joined earlier. So Chef Vinod Bhaji, once again, I think I would like to ask you from the user's perspective, because you are not just a direct user, you are also kind of model from other chefs. It's a chef is a fraternity, and the word goes up, and you're also the senior person of Indian Culinary Forum. So how you are going to see this traceability aspect? How important it is going to be for you? What kind of branding would you see and believe that yes, if it is coming from so and so source, it is branded so and so, and is this kind of assurance is given, then probably you are going to recommend it for your food chain. And of course, now since you are also a brand ambassador for IKEA, which means a very large number of people depend on your recommendations. What features would you look into branding? And let's have.
So when we come to brand, so actually most of the companies that we look for, so our sourcing policies are very typical, and we take traceability as one of the major point when we do the sourcing. Not only for spices, for each and every ingredient that we buy, so we check the traceability of all the ingredients. If we take example of chicken, so we also go to the level like what grain the chicken is eating and where does the grain come from. Or if we take example of palm oil, so is it segregated and separated? So for coffee, for tea, so each and every ingredient, we have a stringent policy that relates to the traceability of the ingredients. Because in our case, we cater to around 10,000 people a day. So the stake is too high as an organization, and we try to keep more closest loop when it comes to usage of ingredients. And as a hotel industry, so it will become now mandatory to have the knowledge of the source of the ingredient. So it's not like the last mile that you just get a finished product and then finish it off and give. So now it will be more knowledge that has to be imparted to the consumer. From hospitality industry also, the chefs and the fraternity has to give the information to the end user that what is the source of the ingredient that they're buying from.
Okay, on the lighter side of it, are we going to see the more robotic bearers, the person who are bringing in plates and all the workers in the restaurants will be robots, as we see in some restaurants? I mean,
so, I think when it comes to processing, yes, robotics are invited and well accepted. But when it comes to consumption of food and serving to the last mile, so food is very sensitive and very emotional and close to heart. So my personal take would be, so a person can understand other person better. But when it comes to process, robotics are good to have.
Okay. I think I'll now go back to the question that has come from audience to Mr. Sanjeev Bisht. Let me, I think you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The question that has been asked is how the exports will be, how are the exports affected? Exactly, the question is from Sumit. It is actually addressed to all the panelists. I'm taking you first. Maybe we'll take comments from others as well. How do you see the export scenario shaping up over the next few months?
So if you look at the main harvesting period for India for spices is in the month of March and April. And along with the harvest, it's also a maximum time for the demand. So that is one thing as a supply chain which got impacted. If I look in terms of movement of stock, which happened in the March, and even today also, which is being there. Most of the mandis are not being closed. Ports are operating at a lower operations and all. So that is something which has impacted the demand if I look in the month of March and April. But having said that, I think the way you look in India also, spices is considered essential commodities. The requirement for staples is increasing. Whether I look in India or we also discuss with globally to multiple countries where we have customers, all of them, whether it's in Italy, whether in UK, whether in US, food factories are running. So they require spices which is being there in their portfolio. So it's also about that, how do we take the opportunity? So if lockdown is over, all their pipeline inventories are over now. So there will be very high demand initially, which is being there when the market opens. All of them are looking for a shipments. After that, it will depend in terms of how are the prices and the impact which happen in terms of people paying capability. But short term, I see an increase in demand and export. But having said that, we need to ship it. I think that's what we need to put into in terms of government representation also. That if we don't allow our shipments to go as of now, supply chain get impacted, people will start looking for alternatives. That is bound to happen. And once the recipe change, I think then it becomes very difficult to get it back. So if they find Indian chili is not available, they can use Chinese chili. If they find Indian coriander is not available, they can use Romanian coriander. It's quite easy to have a switchover. But once that happens, it becomes really difficult to get that customer back. So I think that's what we need to put to representation to government, like that of export should continue.
Okay. Is Dave Sab there? Dave sir, if you are there, maybe I would like to have your comments as well on this. How on the effect on exports? The question is been raised. Just a minute, sir. It seems you're still mute. Just a minute. Okay. Yes, please carry on.
See, exports will depend upon various factors at this point of time. Any country today that is engaged in trade, global trade or bilateral trade or multilateral trade, they're concerned primarily today in the current COVID-19 situation is safety of the product. Exports should be allowed. I think government is considering that, and they have probably started allowing exports of a variety of products from India, unless there are specific instructions not to export certain products. Now export over the next few months, the demand is there, but the demand is there for a safe product. Now, you know, China exported the PPE and masks to various countries. They were not of good quality, they were rejected. And people are shifting to new markets, new sources of supply. The same thing is going to happen with the spices, whether it is spices or any other thing. The same principle applies. How can we guarantee that our product, ITC product or Ashok Masale product or somebody else's product is absolutely assured of safety and the product is of good quality and meets the standards? Any country that is going to ask you for supplies are first going to ask you, what is your SOP to ensure safety in the current situation? See, countries in the European Commission are going to ask you this question. Can you show us your SOP for different workers, farmers and workers in your factory, packers and transporters? How do you ensure that the packaging does not have, or the product does not have any contamination, or there has not been any cross-contamination? We need to ensure that exports, for the moment, there was a lull in exports, but food is something which everybody eats. So, and spices is now a requirement in any cuisine in any country, even in Europe, people who eat most bland food have now been interested in spices. So spices exports will continue to pick up, but there is a rider to that, and that rider has to be, make sure that you comply with the requirements. The other thing is, in the long term, we should look at value addition. Value addition through processing techniques, value addition through new technologies, value addition by marking your product as certified for good agricultural practices, marking your product as certified for good hygienic practices or HACCP, whatever. If your product can display that logo of good hygienic practices or good agricultural practices, the confidence, and that is also value addition to your product, and the confidence of the importers, confidence of the buyers will increase. And that is how you can continue your exports. I sit in the meetings in the STDF and WTO, in the working group meetings. We receive so many proposals from different countries, and we sanction so many proposals, and 90% or 80% of the proposals are on ensuring how do they implement good practices for production of food and traceability. So countries are gearing up. If we do not gear up, we will be left behind. Countries are gearing up. Countries will take over from us if we don't take care of ourselves. I am telling you because I see it, see all the proposals, and we sanction proposals.
Okay, we have.
Jafarji, one more thing I'd like to add to it.
Jagdeep has raised hand to ask a question. Mr. Jagdeep, please carry on, ask the question. I'll just kidding. Is Jagdeep online? You asked, you raised your hand. Please ask your question, Jagdeep.
Yeah, are you getting me now?
Yes.
I'm listening to the conversations that is happening from last half an hour. Everybody is talking about COVID-19 and all those things, but I always see this as an opportunity for the Indian spices to bloom all over the world, especially when we are talking about the herbal point of view and other uses that world over is recognizing about the Indian spices and all those things. Why can't we talk about the opportunities that this COVID-19 is giving to us?
Okay.
Latter, I will say.
Okay. Thanks for the question. I think from the panelists, I think I'll take this question to Sanjeev ji. Sanjeev ji is really an important aspect, yes. But for this only 90-minute seminar, we really don't want to expand it to a very longer time, but still I would like to take you.
Yeah, sure. I think I'll agree with Jagdeep ji, and this is what I wanted to also highlight today. Actually, COVID has given a new opportunity for spices other than the food into health and nutraceutical segment. Today, you look at demand for turmeric is increasing. People globally are looking at turmeric, ginger as a remedy to take care in terms of throat infection, which is being there, increasing their immunity part. I think this is one sector which is going to take a big leap due to the benefit people realizing of our spices. I think whatever we talk about our local nuska and the benefit of spices, which is there, it is getting known worldwide. People are running after that, which is being there. So that has definitely opened a new opportunity for spices post-COVID. I totally agree with that.
Okay. Now, the time as we are coming to the end, towards the end, I would like to open the seminar. If any of the audience has any question, there is an option for you to raise your hand. So if you have anybody raises the hand, please, you can ask the question. Meanwhile, I'm raising this question to once again to the panelists. My concern is that the expectation that any food item is not touched, at least the packed food item, which is actually going to become a very important requirement by anybody. It's a part of SAP, it's a part of all kind of safety. And now people are also sensitive, and some are even oversensitive to this aspect. It's not being touched by human being, which also means we are talking about a lot of mechanizations at every step. Are the supply, from the supply side of the technology, is the solutions to the problems, upcoming problems, are they already available? Or if they are not available, where else will they be required? Whether it's ITC asking its farmers to use probably gloves at certain level, or whether it's Vinod sir asking the team members to use more like mask while doing the preparation. Now there are a lot of things which may come up. Whether we are going to see chefs in the restaurants and they are wearing PPE kits. I mean, I know it's a kind of fantasy situation, but really speaking, how we are going to see and how we are going to ensure that everybody is fully confident. And do we have all the tools available? And in case it is not available, what tools will be required so that the output of this, because this seminar will remain available for many months. It will be openly available to all the people. So if you can tell me what will be required so that the industry also starts gearing up. Engineers start designing those machines that you will be requiring in future. Can you, let me begin from Kajal sir, and then we'll go to Vinod sir, and then back to Sanjeev sir.
Yeah, thank you, Jafarji. Basically, I would do a very small stepwise movement, because there has to be more risk assessment of understanding of the whole stuff has to be done. See, food safety has always been a risk assessment. Like every processes, right from your raw material for farmers and to your processing plant, there are several kind of steps are there in the supply chain. At each level, using a decision tree, we do need to do a hazard analysis and really understand, and sometimes whether at this current situation, this process is good enough or we need to do that. If it is not good enough, if it is having more human intervention, can we automate it, semi-automatic it, or this kind of, because bringing directly technology and solution also need to be having sustainability. Like you need to make it very cost effective also. You cannot have a completely automated plant. So there are requirements, and if it is been done in such a way that is okay. But I'm talking about large industry where there are more of human intervention, and there is a batch process, there is a not fully process are there, but that process that also can be done with a full food safety. So basically the risk assessment at every level with a more stringency, with application of mind, with a more smartness, with a dynamic approach has to be done. And what is the outcome of that? That outcome has to be looked into. What are the various control measures? What are the various critical control measures has to be put? And then in this process, if there is a requirement of certain things to be put under design change, and then has to be contained in that way through mechanization and more of automation, and then that has to be done. For example, now in agriculture, we have a lot of application of harvesters and other kind of things has come. So that part needs to be looked into it, how more efficiently through without human intervention at more cost effectively we can have kind of indigenously made engineering solution to really pick up these raw materials, and then need to build up a very effective supply chain. So certain products, of course, in case of spice, we need not to worry about the its microbial contamination and other part, which has been taken care of by its naturally antimicrobial properties and other things. But then this has to be properly, there should be a system of cleaning, washing, and reducing the microbial load. And those part has to be put into, instead of bringing a lot of traditional methods which is currently being employed at large, has to be brought into a more of mechanized in a cost-effective manner. So in case of food safety, always it has been seen that more you reduce the microbial load or viral load or whatever you say the hazardous things at farm level to the plant, if it has been reduced and brought for the processing, then it becomes easier to really handle. And this is the approach has to be there with more stringency, more kind of analytical, and subsequently now it has to be seen that many of the testing approach, advanced technological testing approach, which we used to always have a large at large. I'm not talking about the export houses. Has not been that people used to do a periodical level of a testing approach with the external lab and all. Now I think post COVID those stringency will be increased from government and FSSAI onwards, and then that will be come to the as a on the face of various food industry, and that have to happen. And that is something which will be, I think, post COVID scenario will be a good revolution of going for a hygiene and high degree level of food safety, traceability, all things will come. But I would say that let's not jump into all and do a lot of things. Let us do a gradual approach. Let us understand our supply chain. Let us bring those changes which is more sustainable, and keep on updating your situation as and when it is required. And that's the things I will say.
Okay, I think I'll now go back to Mr. Sanjeev about with the same question, the technological requirements. Yeah.
So any change which need to happen first required a mindset issue which need to be changed. I think the solution can be developed. That's how people move from typewriter to computer to mobile. So I think that's required. And COVID is something which has impacted across everybody in the chain. So if you look, people understanding or concern about food safety is one of the highest now. Anything we talk about, everybody understand that. So it's a good time to do any kind of changes which is being there, which will have impact on the quality. Having said that, there are solutions which is available. When you look in farm, lot of operation can mechanize, which was not earlier possible to doing on that. Some things are being done across globe, not possible in India, but same thing can come into a low-cost technology, which is possible with the scale and the way we are using IT now.
Sanjeev sir, just 2 seconds interruption. Mr. Pankaj Samvalia has asked a question that whether this information, because he's missing the voice quite often, so he says whether it will be available to me later on the WhatsApp. The answer is yes. Once the seminar is over, its recording will go. It will be available, so that there the voice will be perfectly clear. So it will remain there for quite a few coming months. So that answers. Another question from one another gentleman is about the promotion of technologies in the event industry, large gatherings. I believe the question does not belong to right now. It's important, but then we are talking about the spice industry. So I won't take this question right now. Yeah, exhibition will definitely continue to play a role, because that is where you have to interact for the businesses to be conducted. So back to Sanjeev sir, please. Yeah.
So I'm talking about a farmer, a lot of mechanization. There's a huge yield difference if I look in terms of global benchmark with India, and the way we can improve is in terms of mechanization, which involves less of a manual touch, which is being there. Similarly, in terms of processing, also a lot of technologies have come. Currently, the way we process spices, not a single manual touch is there by the time feeding to packing. So there already a lot of innovation happened within India also. A lot of entrepreneurs are coming with a new solution. So that all are possible. But having said that, I think where I see a big shift which will happen is, because any change to happen, it has to start with consumer. And like Mr. Dave was saying earlier, I think that's the way I see a shift which is going to happen. People will move from a loose to packed. And the moment they're moving to a packed, they're looking for some brand to give assurance. And then it's become the responsibility of a particular brand to ensure that whatever promise they are doing, they deliver. And they automatically start looking for solution and start investing on it. I think that's the way the market will move forwards. So Zafar, you are mute, so you need to.
Okay, now back to Vinod sir with the same question. What will be your requirements for the future?
Including packaging.
Oh, the ingredients.
Okay. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So when it comes to ingredients, whether it's spices or other ingredients, so what I would say, and I would add on to Mr. Dave's point, is we need to stick to the basics first, and we need to train the people. So the people, those who are producing the food or making the food or in the manufacturing hub, so we need to start from the basic root till the end to the consumer. So training, I think that's the foremost thing. So first we need to understand the human aspect of the whole process and how does it impact. And then secondly, we can go into the mechanization and the processing part. And when it comes to like a company like us and the hospitality industry, so I think the sourcing would be more stringent and more process driven in the coming time, with the buyer asking the complete traceability records of all the products that they are buying. And also, as the gentleman from ITC said, that there are companies, those who are providing good solutions with the complete traceability and the assurance that whatever we are buying are of good quality. So the mindset will change. People will not buy more loose products, and the people, those who are aware and knowledgeable enough, will go into branded products which they feel it has full assurance. That is one. And the second part is things will go more sustainable now. Whether it's like people friendly or planet friendly, less pesticide and those kind of things. So people will read those kind of things. And what does it take to make those kind of products from farm level to the consumer level? When it comes to adulteration, the best practices that one need to adapt. And that can only happen with the support of the bigger players, the government, the bigger organizations. So they impart and take the best practices to the grassroots level.
Okay.
That is one. And at the consumer end, I think transparency is the key now. So people will have more questions as compared to earlier times. And as industry, we all need to have all those answers for those questions that are going to come in the coming time. So that is one. And when it comes to the equipments and technology, I think in smaller food industry and small scale restaurants and hotels, so they need to invest more in refrigeration and the temperature controlled atmosphere, because in India, the temperature abuse is the biggest cause of food contamination or the food spoilage. And that also connects to the logistic and the manufacturing part.
Okay.
So we need to be more stronger when it comes to the logistics and temperature controlled atmosphere for certain ingredients, especially for spices.
Okay. Fine. I think I have one request from Mr. Jagdeep. He is wants to make some comment. Jagdeep, if you can hear me, please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, sure. Like I was listening to all these comments and all those things. When I look from Indian perspective, my point of view, most of the people are small farmers and all those things.
Okay.
So only thing that is to be done to them is to get educated back to basics. I will say, go back to the organic food and brand them well. And who's going to brand them well? Somebody from the industry has to invest money in this from the collection point of view, the product, whether it is spices, meat products, or vegetables, or cereals. So somebody from the industry has to invest heavily on that. As far as the final from the restaurant to the plate, that has already been taken care of in most of the restaurants. Because the industry, as far as I know from last 30 years, has expanded like anything in terms of equipments and all those things. It is the base that requires major help.
Okay, fine. Thanks. I think as the time has coming to the end, because we wanted to end it by 4:30, I'd like all the panelists 2 minutes each, one quick response, and finally we'll have closing remarks by Shri Sanjay Dave. So let me start with Kajal Demnath sir. Sir, please 2 minutes closing remarks.
Yeah, thank you, Jafarji. It was good discussions, all inputs from various panel members and also the participants. COVID is bringing a lot of positive sides also. We have challenges also, but we need to be very careful. And then consumers also will be their understanding and demand has to be well executed. We need to be do things in a very gradual manner, as things is very dynamic and very slippery as it keeps changing. It cannot remain rigid. Let's not let's look at things in more holistic manner. And I think that's the way I look at it. This is very important, and this is also an opportunity for food processing, spice industries, and ingredients. And one gentleman person has also said that for immunity purposes, these also will nutraceutical, which is a plant-based nutraceutical, will also botanicals also will have a good importance and demand will come, which is very true. And in that scenario, spice also will have a great importance, which it has been playing traditionally, and now it will come to these things. And definitely, there will be a shift of consumer behaviors from, as Dr. Dave said, from loose to the branded, and then the positioning it. Then there will be more competitiveness of food safety, quality, positioning. So this is overall, I find that it is going to come as a very positive side. I look at it. Although we have a journey towards this, need to be really determined to go for it. And with these things, I would also congratulate for organizing such a good seminar where we got a good insight, and we continue to do this with a lot of inputs.
Thank you, Kajal sir. I think it will be nice if, apart from it, I mean, this is the beginning. In case you can note down a few points that you feel are important, and maybe we'll publish it as a report. It will be widely circulated to the industry, and this entire seminar proceedings will remain active on the net for quite a few months. To maybe a small note in case you wish to make certain points very important in this topic. So maybe I can include them in the written report as well. Thank you so much, Kajal sir. And now over to Sanjeev Beshji sir. Your closing remarks, I'll request you to kindly be brief on that.
Yeah, putting me pressure, but anyway, I will try to summarize it fast as possible, which is being there.
On the digital age, we are already overshot it by 10 minutes.
Sure, I can understand that. I think it's a watershed moment. I'll put it on that basis. I know it's a challenge which we need to do in terms of COVID, whatever happened, and we need to take precautions. But it's also throwing a lot of opportunity to all of us. And if we act on those opportunity, I think this is the way where we'll be making a big shift in terms of spices. I think we talked about a domestic market from a loose to branded. I see even in the export market also, if we act fast in terms of meeting all the global norms, this is the way where India can establish as a big player, because already people know India about for spices. And if we can show them traceability, we can show them in terms of food safety norm we are doing, a new kind of demand can be created, whether it's for food sector or whether for nutraceutical sectors. I think the way people need to be open about is that whatever we thought is not possible in India earlier, people will not understand. I think the mindset is changing. So that is good time to, in terms of updating them in terms of these requirements, whether in terms of a farmer, giving them more training. I think I totally agree with the Vinod point that training is a critical part, whether it is at a farmer level or whether it is a worker at the plants. This is a good time to train them about food safety. It's also about to look in terms of how much we can digitalize. This is also how much we can do online, whether it is in mandi level or a farm level, which is being there. And over and above, which will be a critical part in this kind of a COVID situation, is that we need to communicate fast. I think government is also receptive, but the issues which you are facing across the chain, whether it's in terms of movement, whether in terms of processing, whether in terms of safety, whether it's in terms of organizing for a sanitizer or a mask, I think all those need to be updated fast so that a channel helps to learn from each other and improve faster.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I think I'll go to Vinod sir, your closing remarks, and then finally we'll go to Sanjay Dave sir. And I have a meanwhile, just a minute, sir. I have a question coming from I think training and development is one of the best practices our industry can do at the moment. Okay, thank you. This has come from FICCI UP State, and the comment has come. Yes, over to you, sir. Vinod, sir.
So first of all, thank you for organizing such a nice, wonderful, informative session, and with the knowledgeable panelists. And media today is a good platform, I think. And in terms of the closing remark, what I would say is the good practices is the key. Yeah. So we have the best SOPs, we have the best processes. We need to just stick to those and follow and implement those in a better way. That is my understanding, what I have heard in last 1.5 hours. And these are extraordinary times because we have not seen in a lifetime. We have senior people in the panel and they must have also not seen such times in their lifetime. So I think these extraordinary times need extraordinary efforts that we need to do, and definitely we'll have new ways of working, doing the same thing in a new way. That is one. And there is always light in the tunnel. So we just need to look at that and move ahead. And this will definitely give a big opportunity. And as I think 2 questions were raised by one of the partners in this webinar, that India is the biggest producer of spices, and its spice has been using since ages. So spice as a medicine and as a flavor enhancer. And this has been understood by the globe. And Indian spices and the benefit. So if you see, the Indians have more immunity as compared to the other people across the globe. So this definitely has a very good sign in terms of spices. So now you see a coffee made with turmeric. You see 25 types of tea with different spices infusion. So we have a tremendous opportunity to take this to the next level, and spices are the king of the culinary world. That's what I could say.
Sanjay Dave, sir.
I think everybody has said all that was necessary. But before I summarize my recommendations, which I had noted down, let me thank Media Today and Mr. Jafar Naqvi, who really handled this program very well. And it's a useful program. And my recommendation and my suggestion, first suggestion to you would be to organize similar programs for other sectors. Okay. I'm sure you would be thinking about it.
Thank you, definitely.
Well, coming back to the specific recommendations that I have in my mind, first of all is from safety angle. I keep talking about safety all the time because that is the basis of enhancing your business, whether it is domestic market or exports. Develop your SOP for every person in the chain. Take COVID-19 as the example and address other issues as well. For example, microbiological contaminants like salmonella or any other contaminant, microbiological contaminant, and address also the heavy metals and pesticide residues. Make your SOP and implement it. And market it. Use it for promoting your exports. When you talk to your buyers, whether domestic market or importers, tell them that this is what we have initiated and this is what we are doing. Do it together. Make a team. Develop your SOPs. Little tweaking will be required for every factory or every operator. But have a master document. Work closely with the Spices Board. Take this as a development initiative. This is my first recommendation, which can go to the spices industry, to the World Spice Organization, and to Spices Board. The second one is implementation of best practices at the farm level, basically good agricultural practices. And I would like to bat for an India document, which is INDGAP rather than Global Gap, because that is a foreign document. And believe me, INDGAP has addressed 9 out of 17 sustainable goals, which is not contained in Global Gap. Another thing which is there in INDGAP is spices have been included. Global Gap does not have spices in its fold. So in my view, INDGAP document, which is on the QCI website, is even better than Global Gap. But for certain things, that benchmarking is required. Follow a process of group certification. Work with a team. There is a way to do it. We have done it in grapes, we have done it in anar, we have done it in other horticulture crops, we have done it in organic products. Why it cannot be done in spices, tell me? Why it cannot be done in spices? India can show the lead to the whole world that this is what spices are and this is how it is practiced. Thirdly, implement traceability. Do branding of your packages, whether it is for the domestic market or for exports. Say that we have implemented GAP. Say that we have implemented GHP. Say that we have implemented traceability. Whether it is organic or non-organic. Traceability for organic is different. Traceability for non-organic is different. But the principle is the same. So create a brand India image. Create a brand, Indian spices, like Colombia has Colombian coffee. In spices. The whole world looks to India for spices. The Codex Committee, the Global United Nations Codex Committee for Spices is in India. India is the host. We make the standards. Invest in value addition. Use traditional information.
Okay.
Upgrade your technology both at the farm level and at the processing level, including cold facilities, cold chain. Then finally, request the government to facilitate technology development and help exports. And you need to work closely with the Spices Board on these things. That's about all I wanted to say. Maybe I've missed out certain things. You can take inputs from several other people and write your recommendations meant for different departments of the government, whether it is Spices Board or Ministry of Agriculture or Ministry of Commerce or the Spices Associations. Thank you.
I think I would like to thank Kajal sir, Vinod sir, Sanjeev Bhatt sir, and of course Sanjay Dave sir. Meanwhile, that one person has raised the hand at almost the end. If you permit, I think I'll request him to talk. Or
Chef Lawrence.
I think it's Chef Lawrence. He's a kind of celebrity chef. He's also a very senior chef. So he is asking for, he wants to like to. Chef Lawrence, are you hearing me?
Hello.
Yeah, Chef Lawrence, would you like to make a comment? As we are almost closed, please.
Yes. So I will just say, during this COVID period, media today, India FoodX and food industry opened the Indian new door during this period of Indian spices. Really, thank you so much for everything. We learned it a lot. Now our brain will work more to win. You can win the world now.
Thank you.
On every product.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that, and thank you so much for giving us hope, because one of the most affected sector in India or worldwide has been the event sector. Obviously, for us, we bring so many people together in one hall, and then they go out all over. So we have to be rather very extra cautious about anything like contamination. Anyway, thank you so much, Chef Lawrence. And with this, we are coming to end. I'll request once again all the panelists that if you can make notes of it, we'll make it an article. And of course, this entire video, we'll try to upload it on YouTube. And this feature, Zoom has, they said that it will be available. So it will be my first time to whether it really works, how it works. So it's an experience. All of you are requested to kindly have a relook at this video online. So you can take out, because this is going to be a very frequent activity. And a good thing is that within an hour, within the comfort of our home, we are able to discuss pointedly on a certain topic. We'll try to be more precise in our content. We'll definitely carry out more such conferences. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jafarji. Thank you, panel members.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Yes, sir.